So if you have a loan or if you have a bunch of loans, you can refinance them, which just basically means you get some other bank or some other company to buy out your loan and then you pay this new bank or new company. Um, there's startup costs with it though. So even if the interest rate is lower, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to go through all the hassle because you'll still be paying the same amount. You have to pay. There's for this loan. There's an appraisal because we're talking about a mortgage. There's an application fee. There's a title search because we're talking about a house, title insurance. So all these other extra details. So we got to help them decide whether it makes sense to go through the trouble of refinancing. If it only saves them a couple $100, doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so family is currently paying a loan, $240,000. The interest rate is 8%. So here's their monthly payments, $1,761 right now. They could refinance at half the interest rate, which would be great. That means they're paying way less interest. And this is going to be their new monthly payment. It's going to be for 15 years, okay? Which is, I just made them the same time period so that we don't have to worry about, well, this one's 20 years, this one's 50 years. Do we want to have mortgage payment that long? Okay, so we need to decide if this lower monthly payment, but with all these extra fees, whether that's going to make sense or not. So there's a couple of different ways of doing it. The way I do it is I'd say, hey, if I keep going on the same path, I'm paying $1,761 a month, and they said it's for 15 more years. So 12 months times 15, this would calculate how much money we're going to pay in the end. For the remainder of this mortgage, we are going to be paying $316,980 if we don't refinance. But if we do refinance to the lower amount, because it's a lower interest rate, that's going to calculate how much money we pay, and that's obviously going to be less because there's a smaller number here while all the other numbers are the same, but we have to add in all these extra costs. A 1.5% application fee for the loan amount. That's 0.015 as a decimal. Remember, divide a percent by 100 to convert to a decimal, and then multiply that to the loan amount. 184,000. I'm typing it off screen, but I'll show you. $184,275.74 is the amount of the loan that we're taking out. This isn't the 240,000 because forget about 240,000. We've been paying for probably 15 years. We've got our loan balance down to this amount. So this is how much money we're taking to a new bank and saying, "Hey, please give us a loan for 184,000 because that's how much we have left over." So that's the application fee that we need to add. Where's my cursor? There we go. And then we've got an appraisal for 500, title search for 200, title insurance for 1,000. And then closing costs are 3% of the original amount. So there's another 3%. You could have added that in, but we'll just do each one as a separate item. Okay, and so when we make this much longer calculation, that will tell us how much we're going to end up paying after the 15 years refinancing. So let me pull out my calculator here. I've got this much lower monthly payment, which is great. So with the monthly payment, we're going to be paying that much. Let's give a new line here. But then we've got 15% of the original loan amount. So they're going to charge us about $2,764.14. And what was that? That was the application fee. $500 for something for the appraisal, $200 for the title, $1,000 for the title insurance, and then 3% of the loan amount for other closing costs. Oh, sorry, the loan amount. So 3%, we're multiplying that by the $184,275.74, the amount we're taking the loan out for. So it feels like a lot of closing costs. I don't know how real world that is, but lawyers maybe. I don't know. Okay, so if we add those up, that's not a dig at lawyers. Lawyers have a profession. They spend time going to law school. So by the hour, they cost a lot. If we add those up, this is going to be how much we pay. We're going to pay $255,332.41 refinancing. So even with all these crazy fees that we got that we're going to have to add on to refinancing this house, we're still saving what, 50, 60, is that $60,000 in the long run? So if we can come up with the cash to pay for all these fees right now, or maybe they can roll that into our loan, it's going to save us a lot of money to refinance. Dropping from 8% to 4% saved us quite a bit of money. So there's a lot of details in this question, and whenever I feel lost and I get bored reading through a word problem, I go right to the bottom and say, how should the family refinance their debt to save interest in the long run? So we have some options for taking out new loans to pay off these old loans. How should we go about doing it so that we can save money? And if you read through I think there's three pieces of debt they have. They have a credit card at 20% interest, which is tough. $6,000 on a different credit card at an even tougher interest rate. And then they have student loan debt of $20,000 at a rate of 6%. So at the time of this video, 6% is actually not bad. Who knows what's going to be in the future? And so the credit card, so the refinancing options they have, they're going to have to pay 9% interest on these personal loans. Okay. So one thing that you can quickly eliminate here is don't even do anything with this debt. We're not going to refinance this. This is a rate of 6%. It doesn't make sense to refinance at 9% because now you're just paying off the same amount just at a higher interest rate. You're going to lose more money in the long run. So it's kind of it might feel like a trick question, but this is a real life scenario. As you got lots of information, what you want to do is look at the interest rates. If you can get a lower interest rate, and if it doesn't cost too much for like a startup fee like question 1, then go for it. There's no questions asked. Okay. So yeah, compare the interest rates. You always want a lower interest rate, and that's the bottom line. When you want to pay off debt, pay off the one with the biggest interest rate because that's going to save you more money in the long run. Unless you've got a smaller debt, that's a more complicated question, I guess. But okay, so that's the big idea. You get to ignore this entire third paragraph because that's a lower interest rate. Okay, so we want to take out either the $10,000 or the $30,000 new loan to pay these off, and the problem is set up to make it easy. If you add these together, it's a $10,000 personal loan that we can take out. Okay, so we'll want to take out that personal loan because they didn't mention any startup costs. It's just it's a really straightforward solution here. Take out a personal loan, pay off the credit cards. Don't take out a personal loan to pay off the student debt. And the math you'll see in the text is just explaining why it's going to be cheaper. Because if we didn't take out the personal loan, it says we're paying $200 a month for 2 years and a month. So 200 times the 25 months. That's how much we're going to have to pay that credit card if we don't take out a refinancing option. And this is $250 a month for 2 years and 10 months. So what is that, 34 months? So let's see, 200 times 25, that's 5,000. 250 times 34 plus the 5,000. So it's going to be $13,500 we have to pay the credit cards. But if we refinance, we're going to have both of these credit cards wrapped up under one loan. It's $207.58 a month. $207.58 a month, and how many months to say? It's a 5-year new loan. So that's 12 times 5. So the refinancing option means you're going to have monthly payments for longer, but you're going to save money in the long run. You're saving about $1,000. That's $1,000 more in your pocket by stretching out the loan and using a smaller interest rate. So it makes sense to refinance the credit cards, don't refinance the student debt.